Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope you're having a fabulous Saturday. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we're going to create a project for Altenew, and it's part of an Instagram hop that Altenew is having, celebrating their brand new Mini Delight. This is Mini Delight sets are a small 2x3 stamp set and a die set. They're sold as a combo, and every month Altenew comes out with a brand new one. Now there's an Instagram hop celebrating. So if you want to look up Altenew LLC on your Instagram page, that's the beginning, and you can check out some amazing products with this Mini Delight set. It's called Winsome Bloom, and we are going to do some stamping. I brought in my Misty because I want to do a little heat embossing also. So we're going to take the floral image in the small stamp set along with both the leaves. Now the nice thing about this stamp set is you have the outline, so you can color it in with your favorite medium. You can even watercolor with it if you wanted to. But there's also another image in the stamp set that's a detail layer. So if you want to use your inks, you have that option too. So that's really nice. Now I'm stamping kind of spaced apart because, as you can see, I'm going to flip my panel around and we're going to stamp it one more time. I wanted to create a card with 3 flowers on it, a little trio of flowers, and so I'm actually going to take this out and stamp another piece of white cardstock. I'm stamping on an alcohol marker friendly cardstock. Keep your images in your stamp set because we're going to go back to it and add some embossing powder. I'm just going to clean them off and set that aside. Okay, we're going to zoom in and do a little coloring. I'm going to bring in my Sunshine Valley Garden artist marker set. This is from Altenew, and it's actually set F. Beautiful colors in here. You got some fuchsias and golden yellows and then greens, and I thought that'd be a pretty color combination for my card today. Nice and springy. The coloring is going to be very basic, and I'm not worried about the center too much because when you have a detailed center like this, you can see the detail in here. When you add embossing powder to it, it kind of loses that detail. So I'm not too concerned about the center, but I do want to add a little bit of highlight. Again, the coloring is just going to be basic. I'm going to use 2 colored markers. The nice thing about the Altenew artist marker sets is they pick the colors that blend perfectly together. You don't have to worry about that. Usually there's 4 colors in the combination. Like in this set, there's 4 greens, 4 pinks or fuchsias, and then there's 4 golden yellows. After I have my darkest layer down, I'm going to go ahead and take another one of my markers. I'm splitting them up and coloring 2 colors per flower. I wanted to create again 3 flowers on my project, so I'm trying to get 3 different colors of flowers. Now once I'm done, you can see these look pretty similar together, so I'm going to bring in my colorless blender. Altenew sells these separately, guys. I'll link them down below, but it's a real nice colorless blender. It pulls the ink away, so not only does it, you could use it for highlighting, but you could also use it for blending and also for cleaning up mistakes. So it's a nice little marker set to have. But I wanted to make this a little bit lighter flower, so I added quite a bit of highlights to it. I went ahead and colored a yellow flower and then a darker pink flower, and then colored in my leaves using the greens in that marker set. And I just think they look really pretty. Now again, this one I oversaturated. I really wanted a darker flower, and so I oversaturated with ink, and it bled a little bit, but that's okay because I think I can cover it with my embossing powder. I'm taking my panel and we're going to put it back in the Misty, and remember we left the stamps in there, so all we have to do is ink up those stamps with my Versamark ink pad and stamp over our existing image. And we'll flip our panel around and do this again. And then I'll take my gold embossing powder and we're going to go over it. I think it's going to look really pretty with the pinks. And I love gold and green together. I think that's a pretty color combination too. Now once my flower, I did both panels, and once my flowers are melted, or actually the flowers wouldn't be melted, as the embossing powder is melted, you can see the centers kind of lose their detail, but I still think they're beautiful, and there's a way we can doctor that up. This is the flower center if you want to use your ink pads. So that's the option that's nice in this little mini ink stamp set. Okay, now I'm going to take the coordinating dies and die cut out all my flowers and leaves. Easy to line up, and these dies do leave a little, give you a little bit of a white border, which is nice. And then we're going to go ahead and pick which, we have to lose a flower, and I think I want the darkest pink, the yellow, and the lightest pink. I'm not sure if I'll use all the leaves or not, but it's always good to have more than less. And I think we're going to use the darker one here. It's going to work out better. And if you want to put the other flower on the inside of your project, you can do that too. Now I'm bringing in a 3D embossing folder and some white cardstock. This one here is called Simple Frame. I've used it for a birthday card in the past, and it turned out so pretty. I didn't make a video on it, but this is such a gorgeous embossing pattern or embossing folder. You can see here the detail of this frame. It's so pretty, and it's amazing what it can do with paper. I embossed that. Now I'm going to take some masking paper and I trim down a piece that will fit on the inside of my frame. Now you don't have to use masking paper for that. I know sometimes masking paper can be pricey. You could use a piece of scratch paper if you wanted, and lightly use some removable adhesive and cover up the inside of your frame. I'm using masking paper because I didn't want to get any embossing powder or Versamark ink on the inside of my frame. I wanted it really white, so that's why I used my masking paper. After we have this covered, I'm going to go ahead and bring in my Versamark ink pad, and we're going to lightly go over the raised portion of our frame. I'm not worried about it having full coverage. I'm kind of going for a whitewash look, and once I'm happy with, I'm not worried about the edges too, guys, because we're going to fussy cut that out. But I'm going to take my embossing powder, this is gold, and I'm going to go over my frame. And what I should have did is, after I adhered my masking paper, I should have used my anti-static powder tool, but I didn't. But it looks like a hot mess, but bear with me, it's going to turn out beautiful, because we're going to fussy cut the edges and we're going to remove the masking paper. And keep the masking paper when you remove it. You just have to dust off the gold embossing powder and then stick it on your package. You could reuse that masking paper. But I used my paintbrush here to get away, to pull away all the loose embossing powder around my frame. And then I'm going to take my craft pick and lift up my masking paper. And we are going to go ahead and grab our heat gun and melt all that embossing powder. And I think it turned out so pretty. If you're looking for a really pretty frame, this one is it. I'm going to melt the embossing powder and we are good to go. I'll take my scissors and fussy cut it out. And then kind of looks vintage. Just love the way this looked. Okay, we have our flowers. I am eventually going to pop this up with some foam adhesive, but I think we're going to wait and adhere our flowers. Actually, let's stamp our sentiment. We are going to use the block sentiment stamp set. Love the set. I've been using it a lot because they're just all sentiments. I like the solid one that says "You are awesome," so we're going to stamp that with VersaFine Onyx Black ink on some white cardstock. I'm just using the cardstock that I used to stamp my flowers on. Versamark stays sticky, and rather than wait for it to dry, I'm going to go ahead and use clear embossing powder over it, and I'll melt the embossing powder. Then this way we can just continue, and it's nice and shiny sentiment, and we don't have to worry about ink getting all over the place. There is a coordinating die set for this stamp set too. I'll list it below because they're nice to have, because there's hearts and banners and block sentiments. It's just really nice. I'm going to use my paper trimmer to trim down my sentiment, and I did leave a little bit of a white border. I'm going to go ahead and arrange my flowers now. I wasn't sure if I should pull them to the, I always pull them to the left or to the right, but I think we're going to go full-blown center with these. This way we can put our sentiment on here. Let's kind of arrange them in the center, and we'll take our sentiment, and again, this one says "You're awesome." I did already add adhesive or foam adhesive behind it. I'm just going to remove the release paper, and we'll go ahead and add that. And you know what, guys? Altenew has a brand new foam tape roll that is wonderful. I'll link that below as well. Okay, I arranged my flowers and my leaves. I have one flower and one leaf left over. I'll just set those aside and we'll put those eventually on the inside of the card. But the 3D embossing folder with those flowers is so pretty. Now I had already put fun foam behind my frame and you can see the flower center, so I wanted to add a little extra detail. So I took my black Nuvo drops and dotted the center of each one of those flowers. I like doing that. I like the dots. I just think polka dots are fun. So I put them in all of the flower centers. We're going to bring in a little more black by tying a bow with some black twine. I'm going to add it to the left of my sentiment here. Just tied a small bow, and I'm going to secure it with a glue dot. And then last but not least, I'm going to add some clear sequins around my image, and then that completes my card today. I encourage you guys to join in the Instagram hop that Altenew is having. More details for that are over on my blog too. I left the full Instagram hop over there. If you guys want to start at the beginning, just click over there. Have a great day. Thank you so much for joining me. We will see you again real soon, guys. Bye-bye.